Welcome to Forged in the Fires podcast with Fireman Rob. Being a fireman, father, veteran, husband, world record holder, and Ironman, he brings stories of experience to impact your life while challenging you to live it. What do you want from your life? Why do you want it? Are you willing to go through the challenges to get there? If you have the courage to take that first step, let this podcast be the catalyst to start your fire, while you bring the resilience to make it continue to burn. Our lives are made up of moments called right nows. So let's get started. Forged in the Fires podcast with your host, Fireman Rob, begins now.
Welcome back to Forged in the Fires podcast. I'm your host, Rob Verhouse, better known as Fireman Rob. I have a great guest for you today. Known him for a long time, Michael Alexander. He is an amazing individual. Every time I talk to him, I get inspired myself, as well as he's created something from his life that is amazing. He is the entertainment director at Bratfest. He's the entertainment director at Crystal Grand, as well as a musician. Thanks for being on the podcast today, Michael. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, buddy. How are you doing?
Good. I have to tell the audience, though, that it was putting a fireman in charge of technology to try to get you on the show it's not good.
It's all good. I'm not much better. That's for darn sure.
You had to put away the groceries before you got on, so we got it all handled here.
I did.
So Michael, your backstory. You and I met in college at Edgewood College. You were a soccer player, right?
Baseball.
Baseball. That's right.
Yeah, I was on the baseball team, and I had my right arm rebuilt, and it didn't take me long to realize that my dreams of playing in the bigs were never going to happen. So I quit the baseball team and taught myself how to play a guitar.
Taught yourself how to play a guitar, and now you've got how many albums do you have out there?
I think 6.
6 albums. You taught yourself how to play guitar. It's amazing. It's amazing. And how long did it take you to learn how to play the guitar?
Well, I'm still learning. I don't think it's anything that you ever really master. I'm hopefully better than I was when I started. I played for about 6 months, and I put out my first record, which was a solo acoustic record, after about 6 months of playing.
That's unbelievable. Now, how long have you been in the music industry?
In
some sort of another.
Yeah, in some way or another. Probably about 22, 23 years, something like that. I've been working with Bratfest for about 14. I've been their entertainment director for 8. I've been with the Crystal Grand for 3 years. I was their entertainment director for the last 2.5, and then in the last 6 months, I now am vice president of operations up at the Crystal Grand as well.
Oh, that's amazing. And I'm going to get into that later, like how you transformed that into something that's huge. Kind of for the listeners who don't know what Bratfest is, in Wisconsin, we have this amazing thing that started. What year did that start? I can't even remember.
We're going on about 35 years, and it was Tim and Kevin Metcalf's father, Tom Metcalf, and it was just a grocery store parking lot promo for his customers.
It's amazing, and obviously in the great tradition of Wisconsin, there's brats and beer, and then you added in a little music to it. Like some of the major headliners that have been there, who have you brought in?
Some of the people we've had in the past are George Clinton, Randy Houser, Travis Tritt, Everclear, Lita Ford, Smash Mouth, Bret Michaels. Across the board, a lot of country, a lot of pop, some funk. We try to get the best available local, regional, and national, while still, keeping a pretty tight budget. Because we have been able to raise just over $2 million to charity, because at the end of the day, it's a free event, and the whole focus of the event is not only providing a great weekend for the community, but also to raise money for local charities.
That's such an amazing thing. Over $2 million. I mean, that's such a great event to go to, and as well as having those big headliners at that music event is such an amazing thing. Now, really going back, I know your story and just how amazing it is how you transitioned yourself into a role that the music industry is a tough one to get into, isn't it?
It is. My dad, when I told him that I was out of college, I was doing. I had just left, and I went up to the Guthrie, and I worked at the Guthrie Theater for a year, and I was going to do some acting stuff. And in my head, acting was all big Hollywood blockbusters, but all the jobs that I was getting were musicals. And it turns out I'm allergic to jazz hands and tights. So
Thank goodness. Thank goodness you in tights makes me scared.
So I headed back down, and actually, while I was working on my music, I took a job with the YMCA. I was managing youth centers. I did that for about 7 or 8 years, and the Middleton Youth Center had closed down, and I got offered a middle management role. And I just turned it down, and I decided to focus on my music full time. I had started my own booking agency a few years before that, and my dad literally looked me in the eyes and said, well, he said, okay, because no benefits, the pay is all up and down. You're playing a guitar, trying to figure out where your next paycheck's coming from. And he said, well, people are going to really question this decision. So your best bet is to tell them that your backup plan is an NBA basketball player, because that at least seems a little more attainable.
Nice. I like it.
So, yeah, it's a very hard place to make a living in, for sure. It's very challenging, but just like anything, if you're going to be at a certain level, whatever your career path is, it's going to be challenging, and it's going to take a lot of long hours and a lot of long nights and a lot of sacrifice, regardless, as you well know, that if you want to be successful in anything, you got to put in the time. So it doesn't really matter when you're trying to get to a certain level. It's going to be challenging, whatever your career path.
That definitely speaks to the importance of a passion and a purpose. And yours was, that was music. And a lot of times people don't understand when they can't see it or they've never done it, the drive that is associated with that. You may not be a celebrity or may not get the money right away, or it may take so much time that like, you're just wasting your time doing this. And how do you mentally get around that to be able to push yourself forward? How did you do that?
I think that it's like a poison. I think I've told you that before. That when you're really driven, it is literally like a poison that is in your genetic makeup, and there's not really an option. You can't. You're so driven that I can't imagine a scenario where I'm not involved in music in some capacity. Until the end of my days. And it was in college. I would literally wake up probably 5:36 in the morning. I'd play guitar for a few hours, drive my roommates absolutely wild. Then I would go to classes. Then I would come home. Then I would play guitar for another few hours. And it was you just do it over and over and over and over and over. And that's the only way where you get to a level where you can compete. Because the bottom line is, in my industry, everybody's good. There are people who are playing the subways in Boston that have much, much, much more talent than I do. But like, I've never let anything like a lack of talent get in my way. And I think that if you're driven enough, you can literally will yourself to accomplish almost anything that you want to within reason. There's people that are born with certain, whether it's mental or physical situations where they're not able to, get to a certain level. But as long as you are a healthy, from the time you're born, there's no reason that you can't accomplish whatever you want in this country. It just, it's that simple. I'm very proud to say that I had very, very loving parents. But one of the best things that happened for me is we didn't have a lot of money when I was growing up. And so I didn't have that to fall back on. And, I went to college and I had these astronomical bills. And so I couldn't get ahead. And then in my late 20s, I had my first daughter. And as a single parent, um, even if I did the 9 to 5, I couldn't make enough money to pay for her. So I had no choice but to succeed. Where a lot of people will say something like, coming from a place of not having a lot of money, or, well, once their kids were born, they weren't able to maybe accomplish their goals. Where for me, I absolutely view that as the reason why I was so successful, or why I continue to succeed at what I was doing, is because my children, uh, I want to make sure that they have a great life. And with the amount of debt that going to Edgewood College gave me, and the amount of debt being a single father, I had to find a way to make more money, because the 9 to 5, by the time you pay for childcare, it's impossible to make it. Which is why so many people fall into the trap of the whole welfare game, because it's just more appealing. Because as a single parent, you start to recognize that, hey, wait, I'm working 40 hours a week and I have less money and I don't get to see my kids. So I understand, how that can happen to someone. But for me, it was an absolute asset, and it drove me to just be better and more successful and to find a way.
And it's a great lesson that you know, for your kids to be able to see something or someone like yourself, the role model in their life, to push forward and constantly work to get something more for them. And it's through those actions. I mean, that's the one thing I look at your life and I go, there's a lot of things that you did that a lot of people could take away, and trail into their lives. Challenges and obstacles, you look at financial, a lot of people go through financial obstacles, and like you said, it's finding that goal to be successful. As I look at like your music career, to be able to put out that many albums, networking is a huge thing, and you have an enormous network. What is some of the things that you would say are the best assets to be able to create a network, to create that friendship that is not one-sided, but it's dual-sided?
The and actually, I have, and I won't be able to talk about all of the major players that will be in the Brotherhood. But speaking of those relationships, the Brotherhood will be releasing its first single, and that will be it's a core of me and two very well-known um, recording artists, and then we're bringing in on every release 2 to 3 other well-known industry artists. And our first date publicly, we haven't announced who's in the band yet, will be March 21st with Saving Abel and Molly Hatchet. And the reason that I mention that is because the most important thing in any industry is chasing the relationships and not the dollar. And if you chase the relationships and you form strong bonds and you're a good person with good work ethic, you will accomplish your goals. If you chase the dollar, you will always end up chasing your tail, because money is something that is there one day and gone the next. If you build solid relationships, it's those relationships that can carry you through. And there's so many times where when I had my agency and I was working with big clients and we would lose massive amounts of money, it would be one of those scenarios where, the show didn't work out, and you have to make sure that you pay them. And you have to make sure that a lot of times I didn't take anything for any of the bookings that I did nationally for many years. I booked Broadfest for 5 years, and I played it for 7 years without taking a dollar. I just did it for the relationships. And my role at the Crystal Grand didn't exist. There was no entertainment director, there was no vice president in charge of operations. It's more important to first start the relationship, show that you have value, and then ask to be compensated for that value once you've proven that you have value. The problem that we had and that I've had with some employees that are of the younger generation is that they come right out of college and they expect that they're going to make all this money and that they just demand that it's going to be there. Where the most important thing you can do is before you demand anything, prove your value. And once you prove that you have value, it will be impossible for them
so
to
true.
not compensate you for that value. And that's how I've always handled every decision
I
and
love it.
every
And
move I've made.
kind of to give some people an idea of what the Crystal Grand is, it's a music theater in Wisconsin Dells and Wisconsin. They've had incredible entertainers through the years like George Carlin, Blake Shelton, Justin Moore, REO Speedwagon, Jay Leno. And this weekend you've got Friday.
Friday, I have Scotty McCreery. Next week, I have Trace Atkins. We have on the upcoming calendar, this year we've done everything from REO Speedwagon and Styx, Justin Moore, Tyler Farr is coming up. Roseanne Barr will be here. More current things like Darcy Lynn Farmer. She's just doing great for us. I can't tell you this publicly, but Martina McBride will be announced very soon. And if you're a fan of the Fireman Rob show, you just heard that, and it'll be okay.
As the audio goes.
So,
but that's amazing. I think the music industry is one of those things where tons of people love to hear about the music industry and how dynamic it is, how cutthroat it is. And it just takes, you're sitting here bringing in these top level celebrities. What do you see when they come in? For the most part, how do they prepare for something like this? Because they have so many dates throughout the year, and yourself, you've been on tour as well. How do you prepare for that every single day to be at the top of your game?
You're not. Honestly, no. And
I like that.
That's a very fair question. And I remember being a kid because I just loved music. And I remember the first concert I ever went to was Metallica when I was 12 years old. My aunt took me, and I remember thinking, "Gosh, that was like I think it was on like a Tuesday or Wednesday night." And I was like, "Why is Metallica in Madison on a Tuesday or Wednesday night?" And now I'm in the business, I think to myself, oh, it was a route date and they probably got a heck of a deal on Metallica. And so they got them on a Tuesday because Madison's a secondary market. And then there was times where I'd see a concert on, say, a Sunday, and you'd be like, man, they didn't sound good. Last time I saw that act, they were really good. Well, I'll tell you why. There's a couple of rules. If you catch somebody at the end of a run, so a run is going to be 3 shows or more. And a tour is typically a lot of runs put together. And so most people are on runs I usually do mine anywhere between Wednesday or Thursday, and then we play till Sunday. And most people take off Monday, Tuesday, sometimes Sunday, so Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and then they're back on the road. Now, if somebody has just played Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and you catch them on the 5th day in a row, they're not going to sound good. It's just that simple. And if you catch them at the beginning of a run, there's always that chance that the band isn't that tight and that everybody isn't completely banging on all cylinders. And then maybe at the end of the run, they'll be tighter and maybe they'll sound better. Or maybe that singer will have just got his butt handed to him over the last 6 months and he's not going to sound that great. And so you just have to, when you're doing a run, you have to approach it like when I would play football. You got 4 quarters, okay? You can't just go out there in the first quarter and absolutely give it everything you got. You're going to not have anything left in the 4th quarter. And so if you're on a run, you want to make sure that you pace yourself throughout the 4 days of that run. so that when it comes to the last day of the run, you make sure that you give that audience a good show. And what does that mean? Typically, everybody has this idea of the music business, or what it used to be is, like a Motley Crue video where everybody's partying and, Vince Neil's all getting crazy. The bottom line is the lead singers, the majority of the time, right after the show, they're on the tour bus or in the hotel room. They're maybe taking, steam or oxygen and just doing everything they can to make sure that they can get through that run and perform at a high level.
Wow. See, that's the stuff that you have no clue of. I mean, that's, yeah. I mean, I've done, I do speeches and it's one thing to get excited about that, but it's another thing to have sets. How many sets or songs are within a set to be able to do that? It's interesting because I saw Kenny Rogers. My wife loves Kenny Rogers, and we went and saw him later in his career, and it was interesting because they usually have those encores, and he got to the end of his set, and he goes, I'm too old and I can't move that well, so I'm just going to do the encore now, and you don't have to call me back up here. It was one of the most classic things I've ever seen. It was awesome. But
I worked with Kenny 2 years ago. He still puts on a great show. I think he's done now. It was on his last run. But him and Charlie Pride are about the same age, and it's just funny how age doesn't hit everybody the same. Charlie Pride is always, last time I was in a room with him, he was telling jokes, and he's just, so vivacious and just completely full of life. Last time I was in a room with Kenny Rogers, when I shook his hand, I was afraid that he was going to crumble.
Gosh.
He just did not feel very healthy. So it just, you just never know.
And you take every day.
Time always hits everybody differently.
Definitely. Now I want to go. I saw one of these posts on your Facebook about 15 years ago. You used to work at the Dry Bean. That's another place in Madison that's no longer exists. But you had you introduced Rob Thomas when he was there? So
I brought Rob Thomas to the Dry Bean. That was one of the first big acts that, he was the first international superstar that I ever worked with, period. And I booked him in to the Dry Bean. And that was actually, there's a really, really, really funny quick story that I can tell you. So I was very wet behind the ears, super nervous, intimidated, all the whole 9 yards. I had been talking to the head of not the head, but one of the top brass at Atlantic Records. And I had been talking to him this whole time, getting everything set up. Took about a month or two to get Rob, all set to come to the Dry Bean. They show up in a black SUV. I think 2 security guards come out, and they did a perimeter search. And then Rob comes out, and Rod gets out. And they walk up and they shake my hand, and Rod Segar introduces me to why can't I think of his name? Rob Thomas. And I say, hey, nice to meet you. And he says, hey, nice to meet you. And we walk into the Dry Bean and we go into the back office. And then security does a sweep, and the dude from Atlantic Records leaves. And it's just me and Rob Thomas. And we're sitting there staring at each other. And you know this, but I'm a bit of a smart aleck, and I like to diffuse situations by just making people feel at ease, but by being a smart aleck. And so I look over at him, and the office was a bit messy. And I looked over and I said, well, if you're going to be here, you could at least make yourself useful. And he looks over at me, and he kind of cocks his head, and he goes, what? And I said, well, if you're going to be here, you could do some of this paperwork or tidy up a little bit or something. And he looks at me, and he gets this smirk, and he goes, I suppose I should answer the phone too. And I said, it would be nice. And so the phone rings, and he jumps up and he heads over there, looks at me, and he smiles, and he grabs the phone, and he says, thank you for calling the Dry Bean. This is Rob Thomas. And you can hear him on the other line go, yeah, is Rob Thomas going to be there tonight? And he goes, thank you for calling the Dry Bean. This is Rob Thomas. And they're like, that's not funny. We just want to know if he's there or not. And, and he goes, yes, Rob Thomas is going to be there. And he hangs up. And, of course, he and I just have a good laugh about it. And so I tell him, I said, Rob, I gotta go take care of some stuff. And a security guard came back in. I'm like, are you good? Do you need anything? And he's like, no, I'm fine. I'm fine. And so I left. I came back about 15, 20 minutes later to check on him. And of course, there was people moving all over by that time. And I said, how you doing, buddy? And he goes, good, good. He goes, a guy came in. I didn't like the way he looked, and I fired him. And then there was this really attractive young lady that came in, and I gave her a raise. And and I looked at him and I said, as long as you are making yourself useful, Rob, I am.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
So that's my Rob Thomas story.
Oh, that's amazing. Really just, really being part of that situation. That's just awesome to have that kind of lightheartedness.
Yeah, no, I mean, and that's how, to me, people are people, and we're all on this rock together. And I think people want to be treated like people. I know I do. I don't want anybody ever acting weird around me, no matter what the situation is. And I know that everybody else who has accomplished anything, if they're worth their salt, feel the same way. You just people are people, and just treat people the way that you would want to be treated, and the less awkward.
I love the. You had one quote that I was looking at, and well, one post. Your posts are hilarious, but one post that you said, life becomes much easier to maneuver when you understand it's actually about the challenges and being pushed to your personal growth.
It is.
That's so true. That's so true.
It is. It's I think it becomes a lot easier once you understand that it isn't about the accomplishment. It's about the journey to the accomplishment. Because when I don't think I would be as successful or the person that I am had I not been handed a decent amount of challenges. Obviously, there's so many people that have had more, and probably people that have less. But the bottom line is we all have a cross to bear. And I think that we forget sometimes that it's supposed to be a challenge. It's not supposed. I mean, what would it be if we woke up every day and there was nothing to accomplish? Like there would be absolutely no reason, to keep working. It would be chaos. It's all about personal growth, and it's those challenges that actually build us. And I do believe that good men and women are born, but I believe that great men and women are forged. I truly believe that greatness comes and it is only attainable through challenges.
That is so true. That's such a great statement, especially from you who has taken on those challenges. And now you have hand surgery on your hand that
I do.
Playing guitar.
I do.
I mean, that's not the greatest of things to, especially when you're launching a release on March 21st. How'd that hand surgery go?
That went great. My doctor down at the UW, my surgeon is incredible. We had a lot of conversations. I've had to have steroid injections over the last year and a half, and they just weren't cutting it anymore because my hand was locking up and I just couldn't move my finger. It's a very common thing that people get when they use their hands a lot, and obviously playing guitar, I use my hands a lot, and my ring finger would lock up, and then I would have to pry it open with my other hand. And the last couple runs I was on, my dexterity was not good. And playing guitar, between the pain you can get through, the stiffness you can get through, but when you just can't physically do it, it was time. And so I had to meet with the surgeon, and we expect a full recovery. It's not awesome. There's it's obviously better to not have surgery on your hand. But as far as
yeah, definitely.
As far as hand surgeries go, it went well, and it's not that complicated of a surgery. So he does expect that I will make a full recovery. Now, when that will be, we're not really sure. As of right now, it's still wrapped, and I haven't even got a good look at it. So.
Oh boy. Well, I know that you'll probably get better, and again, you have that new single from Brotherhood that's going to be released. It's going to be Until the Wheels Fall Off. Is that right?
That is right, and that will be released probably sometime in the next month. Also, Big Mountain, Michael Alexander, Big Mountain CBD oil will begin to be available early next week. It'll be
Oh,
shipped
wow.
to me. The goal of my CBD oil is because I've personally benefited greatly from CBD oil, but the really good stuff is really expensive.
Right.
I have worked tirelessly to come up with a full spectrum CBD oil that's independently tested, and we will sell it between 25 and 35% lower than the leading CBD oil on the market right now.
Wow.
Because I wanted to make sure that I had an affordable, solid product that I could offer to people.
You keep giving back, buddy. That's awesome. I love it. It's it's one of those things that when you get to a certain point in your life and you can do the great things that you're doing and be part of something bigger, which is exactly what you're doing. I love it. Where can they go on your site, Michael Alexander and bigwhiskey.com, or is there going to be another website?
I would just go to my Facebook. One of the challenges, I did have somebody hack my website a while back, and so the whole thing got pulled down, and it's kind of in disarray right now. Your best bet is just go and follow Michael Alexander Big Whiskey, or Michael Alexander on Facebook, Michael the Sandman on Instagram, and I will let everybody know what's happening there.
Oh, you are the greatest, Michael. Well, I'm excited for that release on March 21st. That'll all be also on your Facebook, I'm guessing, and Instagram. That who will be in that new group that you formed?
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. The only person we know that's not going to be in it is Keith Richards. He said he couldn't do it. So, but
Oh,
we
really?
do have, we do have some. I'm just pulling your leg. We
I
do
know
have
you are.
some pretty. We have some pretty incredible artists that are going to be playing with us. So, yeah, keep your eyes open for that. And always a pleasure, my friend, and always a pleasure to watch you and all of your accomplishments. You truly are an inspiration, brother.
Oh, I love it, brother. Hey, I always end my podcast with some questions. They're not true false. They're just questions for you to answer. I don't give them to you before this because I love to have the genuine answers. So here's your first one, brother.
Okay.
What is one thing you haven't done but is outside your comfort zone?
One thing I haven't done is skydiving.
I love it. You gonna do that then?
When the kids are older and I don't leave them fatherless.
Well, skydiving is about the parachute opening. You're not just gonna go without a parachute, are you?
Well, things happen.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true.
Same reason I quit riding a motorcycle.
There you go. I like it.
I gotta stay alive.
I like it. Number 2, here's the second question. What is your favorite quote and why?
Good fences make good neighbors. And why? Because I think that I do a lot of negotiating, and relationships are very, very important. But I think that if both parties know what they're getting into from the beginning, then it's a lot easier for the negotiations to go smooth and for feelings to not get hurt.
Oh, I love that. That's so true. That's so true. All right, here's your last question. If you could pick to have coffee with 3 people, they can be deceased or alive, at a firehouse coffee table. So in other words, nothing is off the table to ask and talk about. Who would it be and why?
Okay. That's a lot of questions, man. Let me see.
Hey, you put your groceries away. You can answer these.
Probably Jesus Christ, Johnny Cash, and Albert Einstein.
That is an eclectic group of individuals. I like it.
I'm a very eclectic human.
You are. You definitely are. All right, now here's the last part. It's a round robin question. It's rapid questions. It's just I'm going to ask you 2 things, and you just got to say one of them. All right, you ready?
Okay. Yep.
Paper or plastic?
Paper.
Soup or salad?
Soup.
McDonald's or Taco Bell?
Taco Bell.
Camping or hotel?
Hotel.
Fly or drive?
Oh, fly.
Sleep in late or wake up early?
Wake up early.
Run or walk?
Walk.
in your cowboy boots? Partly
my
sunny or
cowboy
partly
boots.
cloudy?
Partly sunny.
Fire or water?
Oh, that's a brutal one, dude.
Yes, sir.
Water.
All right, here's the best one.
I've seen what fire can do.
Yes, exactly. Here's the best one. Use a porta potty or continue to run, drive, or the next physical bathroom.
Oh, porta potty.
Attaboy. Coke or Pepsi?
Coke.
Go big or go home?
Go big.
Attaboy, Michael Alexander. Hey, it's been great to have you on this podcast. I greatly appreciate your time, and we look forward to that release on March 21st. If you have anything that you want to check out on Michael Alexander, go to his Facebook page or his Instagram page. It's Michael Alexander and Big Whiskey. Thanks again, Michael, for being on this podcast.
Absolutely, brother. Let me leave you with this. One of my quotes.
Yes.
The easiest way to score the most points is to stay in the game the longest.
I love it. I love it. That's a great way to end it.
Thanks for listening and supporting the Forged in the Fires podcast with Fireman Rob. Remember, don't forget to like and subscribe to this podcast, and please share this episode with a friend or family. To find out more about Fireman Rob or reach out about a question, go to www.firemanrob.com. Until next time, live your life forged in the fires.